Hi, welcome to 40 Cray, a podcast by two almost 40-something guys whose adult lives and responsibilities have not eclipsed their zeal for stupid nerdy shit like 40K, video games, t-shirts with H.P. Lovecraft characters that look adorable on them. Thanks, honey. Great Christmas present. As always, I'm Ben, aka LS Demon, on various channels, and I'm joined by my special friend and co-host, Tommy Bones.
Hello.
On cue. That way, two different voices. You know, it's not just me. It's got to be another person. But speaking of another person, we have a very special guest star tonight. We are thrilled at 40 Cray to welcome our first non-garbage special guest. We've had a lot of... No, I'm just kidding, Phil and Andrew. You guys were great. But we got Ryan, co-host of the Command Point podcast, and I think you said self-proclaimed Sultan of Sorrow. Is that right, Ryan?
Sure, yeah, I guess we can go with that. I definitely made people cry with playing Necrons and Kill Team recently, so yeah, that works out. Thanks for having me on.
Did you make them cry because you beat them so badly, or because of like vicious mockery?
No, the faction is just so overpowered. It just has that effect on people.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I played a game last night, believe it or not, where I played Necrons for the first time. I borrowed my friend's Necron team, knowing God all nothing, and I still won somehow.
Yeah, it's like that. Biranid, I think I've talked to him about it, and they're kind of like the training wheels for Kill Team. They're like the training wheel faction. You can literally like do no wrong with them.
So Ryan, obviously you and your co-host Shane have built up a pretty strong following in the Kill Team community. Again, one of the reasons I love Kill Team. It's just an easy hobby to get into relative to the 40K piece, and people are generally not too bad, right?
Yeah, no. I've noticed that the Kill Team community is a lot less toxic than like some of the big 40K like Facebook groups that you can like wander on into. Which is something that I love, and I've certainly strived to kind of promote that as a content creator alongside Shane.
You know, one of the things we typically talk about, Tom and I, is our love for the hobby. Mm-hmm. It's this really interesting little subculture pocket of nerddom that for some reason breeds so much enthusiasm, even among people like ourselves who aren't necessarily frequent tournament goers. So to start with, I'd love to get a sense, like, what was your first taste of Warhammer? What brought you into 40K and Kill Team writ large?
So I was thinking a lot about this recently when I got your email kind of with like those like questions. And what I remembered was like a long time ago when I was young, I was hanging out with my cousin, and he had like a 40K like comic book. Like I don't know if there was like a Blood Ravens comic book or something, but it was some Space Marine chapter in Red Armor. They must have been like Blood Angels or Blood Ravens.
I think it was Blood Quest probably, because that was a Blood Angels themed one from about 15-20 years ago.
Yeah, that would check out because I'm 26. Yeah, I'm 26. So like I like gaslit myself into thinking I was 27 yesterday. No, but I read that when I was hanging out with him, and I was like, man, this is like the coolest thing ever. like giant freaking Space Marines like fighting like just freaking aliens. Like that's the coolest thing to like a kid, right? And then I never, like, when you're like a young kid, you can't really, it's hard to get into the hobby when you don't know anybody else who's into the hobby, you know what I'm saying? So right. I was kind of just like, just like going along, and then I got really big into Halo. So like, and there's a lot of...
Is Halo a video game? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. So there's a lot of crossover there, just like super soldier Space Marines, humanity is fighting this losing battle no matter like what they do. They're just always on the back foot. And then I guess I just like kind of like relearned into 40K somewhere along the way in like high school, just by going to like a local store and like picking stuff up for D&D, because me and my friends were getting into D&D at the end of high school, and then saw all the 40K stuff, and I'm like, oh, what's this? And so I got interested in it, read up a lot on the lore, watched a lot of like YouTube lot of YouTube lore channel videos. Um, and then after college, that's when I started like really getting into like 40K and like buying models and painting them. And when Kill Team came out, it's like, yeah, I can. So like, it's so much cheaper than actually building a whole 40K army. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And now I'm here.
Well, I mean, that's quite the circuitous journey, right? I think, both of us, we were talking in a previous episode, but it was kind of similar, like with you're first introduced to this universe, which is so different and so vibrant, and at the same time, so dark and grim. It's like they should come up with a word for that.
If only.
But, at that time, yeah, if only, like maybe dark grim.
Perfect.
It's got a nice ring to it, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Copyright that.
Copyright, yeah, 40 Cray, trademark. But like the same kind of thing. Like I think I had a friend of a friend who showed me like one of the codexes from back in the day, and I just remember some of the fiction in there was like so different than anything I'd read. But it was kind of hard to get into. Didn't know a lot of people, and it was expensive too.
Yeah.
So back in the day, I don't know if the relative price has gone up or down with all the plastic models. I guess Games Workshop's pricing scheme will depend on that a little bit in the future. Like I know, for example, with the Pariah Nexus being the only way to get the heavy intercessors for the moment.
God. Actually, public disclaimer: some store in Germany has just like a box of heavy intercessors. Someone took a picture of it, so like if you're worried about getting heavy intercessors, don't go on eBay. Don't go out and rush to buy a Pariah Nexus box because they'll be out soon. Apparently, if some store in Germany has them in stock.
Germany is hardly ever the first to anything, right? I don't know. Maybe that was a veiled World War II joke. Maybe we'll cut that. We'll see. Sorry, Germany. Yeah, our one viewer from Germany is like, "Nine, I'm out of here." But so you mentioned Blood Quest. Do you remember what was your first faction that you bought into when you finally were able to go to the hobby store and pick up some models for the first time?
I got into Space Wolves just because it's like they're Vikings in space, man. Like that's so freaking cool. And then I kind of like stepped back away from them over time just because a lot of things. The other Space Marine chapters were better than them on the tabletop, from what I could tell. And then when Kill Team came out, it was the same. It was basically the same thing. And then it's like, man. So I pretty much just like dropped them, stopped thinking about them when they, in my mind, became like non-competitive. And like the lore is still good, but like they're so much cooler in the Horus Heresy than they are in like the present day lore, where they're literally like dripping in like wolf accoutrements, and then like every word in the codex has wolf in front of it. And it's like they're not like that in the Horus Heresy books at all. They're like not, and it's like, man,
Yeah, it's like
bunch of furries. Like, come on, man.
You've got space Viking werewolves, and GW chose to lean so heavily into the wolf part of it.
Yeah,
It's like that's not the cool part. Go with the Vikings.
yeah. Like in the Horus Heresy models, like there's literally like there's like a unit that just has like shields and like power axes, and like that's like the whole unit. And then in 40K you get them, but they're riding wolves. You're just like, come on, man, come on, this close to being the coolest.
Does the fact that those wolves are actually people who have kind of transformed into wolves change any of that coolness factor?
Well, then you got to think about it like, okay, now there's Space Marines riding people who aren't really people, and that just kind of like
The moral implications
just
of that.
it's just like throws. I mean, like moral implications, like be damned. It's like 40K, right? So it's like, I don't know. It's just weird.
That's tame compared to some of the other stuff.
Very true.
I don't know if you know or not, but Ben is a Thousand Suns guy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of some animosity there.
Oh yeah. I don't think Russ did anything wrong, actually. I genuinely think he was just doing his job. When the Emperor tells you to do something, you're just like, and then you go You go and do it. And then somehow along the way, you forget that you were supposed to capture Magnus, and instead you just decide to inflict genocide on the planet. And I think Russ may have made a couple mistakes along the way.
Like you just realized that through the conversation.
When it sounded worse when I talked it out.
And these are your good guys.
Well, I mean, in his defense, like Horace, I think did manipulate him a little bit. By the way, I cannot believe that we're having this argument about the fiction as I'm wearing my official Games Workshop merchandise, Thousand Suns overpriced ball cap.
Oh man. I was about to say, wow, you're gonna give him free clout like that, and then you threw the word overpriced in there. Good save, good save. No free clout.
No free clout. It is a well-made hat, though.
Oh, okay. So maybe not so overpriced.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I like the fact that if I wear it around and somebody recognizes it, it means they're an immediate cool dude in my book.
Yeah, but it's not like the hat. People obviously can't see it, but it's definitely like an understated hat where it's like if you see it, you're like, oh, cool hat. But if you know like about 40K and about Thousand Suns, you're like, ah, cool hat. That's the type of 40K
subtle
merch that I'm a fan of, like the understated low key stuff.
It's subtle.
On that note, one of the litmus tests that Tom you used, I thought this was hilarious. Right after your son was born, who, by the way, Ryan, we refer to as Gorechild.
Yeah.
Gorechild. Okay.
Gorechild. He's a cool kid, man. He's gonna grow up and probably be a real hero.
It's like the kind of dude that would just like conquer whole countries and trample people under his sandaled feet.
If I raise him correctly, then yes.
Yeah. No, God willing. That's dope as hell.
Tom, you have like a shirt that says like it's like a boxing promotion, the Emperor versus Horus, that you wore to like the daddy daycare group to see if anyone would recognize, because then you'd know if they were a cool dude or not.
Yeah, it's a play on the Rumble in the Jungle.
Yeah.
The Malice Above the Palace.
Oh, that's cool.
With War Master Horus versus the Emperor of Mankind.
That's funny.
But no one's ever commented, so nobody's cool.
One day.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it.
I see you. Thank you.
Obviously, you came on the show. One of the things you mentioned is, hey, I love Space Marines. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And you talked a little bit about the Space Wolves, about Blood Quest. What, in your mind, keeps the Space Marines at the level, and for you, where they're just more interesting or you have more affinity than the other really interesting factions that are out there?
For me, it's they exist in this place of liminality where they're human, but they're so far removed from what a human is that it's like they would almost be unrecognizable, because it's like, how can a immortal, like nearly godlike being like somehow relate to and willingly defend a race that it is like a race of beings that it's like just like so far removed from? And that's just like really interesting to me. And then also my like favorite chapter of Space Marines is just Ultramarines, and they're just like Romans in space, and that's the coolest thing ever. I'm a big history buff, so like that was it. Like Romans in space, all right, yeah, that's my faction.
It actually reminded me, Ben and I were talking a while ago about the novels. He was trying to explain to his partner Gabrielle that in the novels, the main, like the narrator is always like a remembrancer or some kind of human, because because the Space Marines themselves are so unrelatable that you as a reader, you can't put yourself in their shoes. There wouldn't be a connection.
Yeah.
They're
so inhuman.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It just reminded me of that.
And yeah, I think of all the Space Marine chapters, in many ways, Space Wolves are a little more human, right? I mean, there's that whole element of like carousing and partying, and I think they take wives. I think I read that somewhere. Did I make that up, or is that true?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. But yeah, no, they're definitely like the partiers of the Space Marines, which is like dope as hell. I mean, like Russ, like he outdrank and outate the Emperor like in a contest, and like that's dope as hell.
Right.
So like definitely that part of their personality is what initially made me like want to like build a Space Wolf army. And then it's like you read like the 40K lore and all this stuff that happens after the heresy, and you're like, I don't really know about And I don't like their color scheme. I don't like their 40K color scheme.
The gray
Baby
with
blue.
the yellow. Yeah.
The gray, yeah, no, like the light baby blue with the yellow is just the Horus Heresy colorway is just so much better, man. It's so much cooler in every possible way.
So how do you feel about Primaris and the changes to the lore around that?
Initially, like everyone else, I think I was kind of skeptical with how it would work, and I'm like, oh, they're just doing this to like introduce new models, which like yeah, they totally were. But I think the way they brought about the introducing the Primaris into the lore and everything, I thought it was pretty well done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're different enough from your firstborn Marines that they're interesting because they kind of exist outside of like the firstborn Marines too, you know, those guys with more experience. Because a lot of the chapters they were like initially like suspicious of the Primaris Marines and stuff like that. So, but I think they rolled them out pretty well, and kind of got them into the lore in a way that wasn't like jarring, you know.
Right.
I will say, like, the skepticism piece, I definitely felt it too, because I think at first cynically, as I think a lot in the community, we tend to look at a lot of the decisions Games Workshop makes, even though we love their product and a lot of what they do, with a certain suspicion, just because we've been burned in the past. And I saw it as, oh, okay, so here's a reason that people have to buy a completely new army. But I completely agree with you. Like, I actually think that the way they advanced the storyline forward a couple thousand years and, brought back Diamen. Sorry, Tom, are we allowed to call him by his real name, or do we have to call him Rowboat?
Rowboat Girly Man?
Yeah. I like Rodent Guillotine.
I've never heard that.
What was the one that I like? I think there's Rowboat Girly Man, there's Roberto something. No, but I like Robute Gilliman as a character in the like the newer series. Like there was that whole like trilogy with the just the Dark Imperium trilogy, I think is what it's called. I think I read all those, and that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. All the stories from his perspective in those books was great, I thought, you know. It starts off where he's chasing Fulgrim, and then he winds up getting spoiler alert. He winds up getting poisoned by Fulgrim, goes to sleep for like 10,000 years, and then he wakes up. Yeah, no, it was great. I love that. I love that series.
I do too. I got the first one on Audible. I think I have the other two like queued up and need to read it. I used to commute before COVID, like an hour each way, so I had all this time to listen to my 40K fluff. And for better or worse, now I don't as much. But we were bringing up a point earlier about the need for having a humanoid or more human narrator anchor. And yet I feel like with the Robute, I'm going to call him by his first name because we're cool that way, series, they actually did a reasonably good job making him an interesting, well-rounded character with ups and downs and things that you could relate to, and yet still give that impression that he is kind of this godlike savior of the Imperium.
Yeah, it definitely felt like that. And I was very happy that he's not a Mary Sue. I was so happy that they were able to make him an interesting, flawed character who isn't just able to get whatever he wants at a whim, So I was very pleased by that, because if they did that, then it would have been another 10 years of looking at 1D4chan articles about how Ultramarines are just have plot armor and are just the absolute worst. Yeah.
So speaking of Mary Sue's, obviously I think you're familiar with text-to-speech, which I might say is the achievement of the 21st millennium so far.
Yeah, I learned all of my 40K lore. Like, the stuff that I know cold, I got it from Alpha Bruza, and if the Emperor had a text-to-speach device.
So good. But that's it. I love the way that they have like the Marnius Kulgar and Kato Sicarius dynamic. Are you thinking about those characters or others? Do you have like favorite Ultramarines named characters?
Kulgar is definitely 100% my favorite Ultramarines character, bar none.
Did you read the comic?
Yeah, no, I've got I just got the email today. It should be in soon. I've been ordering. I wasn't able to get. I have like all of the. Excuse me. I keep wanting to say episodes. I have like every chapter. I have every Marnie's Calgar comic book is what I'm trying to say here. I've got everyone, and then I have everyone that I was able to order. I also got like the limited edition like cover art variants. So I'm gonna at some point I'm gonna frame all those limited edition variants and then have the other ones just to read.
Nice.
I thought what they did with his story was really cool. Have you guys read the comic series at all?
I haven't been able to get a copy. I think I went to my local comic book store and it was closed because COVID. So I haven't really followed up since then.
I've had to order them all online just from like comic book stores, not even anywhere near me. So that's upsetting, but you know, what can you do?
But the snippets I see on like Pinterest or Reddit look just fucking so good. Like it's so violent and it's so true to the 40K universe.
Yeah. There's a theme here of me being initially skeptical about a Games Workshop product or IP. And I was like, okay, they're doing a comic book series with Marvel, you know, Marvel might, you know, it's owned by Disney. They might like tone it down a bit.
Right.
Tone down the violence, you know. And I can happily assure everyone that they did not tone down the violence at all in the Marnie's Calgar comic book series. It is as it should be.
Is it dark grim?
It is dark grim.
Okay, you actually now have to pay us because that's it. We just trademarked it about 10 minutes ago. I don't know if you heard.
Shit, how did I not know about this?
Oh, and shit,
I
Ryan,
need to talk
I realized.
to my agent.
Get your yeah. By the way, they were very easy to reach.
I'm a notary public.
We forgot to do a quick shout out. Like, right, we always start our episodes with "What are you drinking?" Ryan, you want to kick us off, man? What's in the beverage for this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm having a New Belgium Voodoo Ranger IPA. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I've never really been a big fan of IPAs, but this one's good.
Yeah, bad IPAs are like metallic and just gross if you get a bad one.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I was saying, Tom. Like,
so I guess in every like locality wherever you are, you've got the local brewery. So
yeah,
I just moved to Connecticut a few months ago, and apparently here it's Two Roads Brewing. So literally everywhere you go, a gas station or 7-Eleven, they've got Two Roads. So this is a Little Heaven Crushable IPA. Secession Ale, so it's not bad.
So you guys are hard hitting the IPA train. I'm single malt bourbon whiskey. I didn't even know you could have a single malt bourbon. It's really good. I'm going a little slow because it was a long day, so I'm trying to drag it out. But Ryan, what do you think? Is Kill Team better enjoyed sober or slightly intoxicated?
Oh man, sometimes I can't get through it unless I'm slightly intoxicated. No, I'm kidding. It's always better when it's beer hammer, Unless of course you don't drink, then, it's fine.
Makes sense. We all have our ways of getting through the workday, right? Speaking of work, let's talk about your work, your line of work.
Yeah.
The thing that you do,
which
is
work.
Crushing people. It's your life's work is to crush Kill Team. You love Astartes. Is that your usual go-to? Is that your home base of factions?
It was starting out. First Kill Team I was playing was of course Space Wolves because those were the models I had at the time. And then I started playing Death Watch. And then once Shane and I started really getting into the competitive aspect of Kill Team, I kind of shelved them for a bit. But then there was one tournament over the summer where I brought him back out again. And Shane and we ran basically two Astartes Kill Teams that were very similar. And he wound up winning the tournament with them. So I was very proud of that.
Wow.
And then, it was actually the biggest Kill Team tournament ever, like on TTS or in real life, biggest one ever. And one of us won it, so I was very proud of us for that.
Wow.
And then they've been shelved for a minute, but we worked with Beernid 40K and some other people on a tournament pack, the Zenith tournament packet, and it was looking like Space Marines were going to be good again. And then they got some new rules in Kill Team Pariah Nexus, and holy crap, these Space Marines are going to be like the kill team in Kill Team.
Wait, I thought I had watched some of your videos recently analyzing the changes, and I thought, aren't Space Marines getting super nerfed in Pariah Nexus?
Oh, man. Man, it's like Space Marines as a faction got everything they could possibly want and more. And it's I think it's really bad for the overall health of the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, the same thing happened in 40K like a year or two ago, right?
Right.
You know, so what are you gonna do? It's GW's favorite faction.
Do you feel? I mean, I know I was watching some of your guys' analysis, and you bring up some really good points. I mean, like death denied for 2 CP alone is a pretty fucking huge change. Yeah. God, Tom, when you used to pull that shit on me, I would get so angry at you.
It shouldn't even be in the game. Like, I don't think they could bump it back up to 3 CP, but like it wouldn't even be enough with the new models that they're getting.
Right.
Tom, do you remember that first time you ran your Salamanders team and I was Death Guard, and I'd been doing okay so far because like Death Guard's a good like intro faction.
Yeah.
And you tabled me, and I finally, like the third round, I almost killed one of your dudes, and then you death denied, which I don't know if at that time I realized was as easy to deploy as it was. Yeah. And I think, do you remember, I felt like a kid whose balloon has floated away into the atmosphere.
He's dead. Oh, wait, no, he's not.
Yeah, that's literally how it works. It's so dumb.
A single tier run. Actually, it was more than a single.
And that was a dumb list, too.
Oh, my God.
Like, I was just taking models because they were silly. I had a Moritat, I think.
You got a what?
Just a veteran with a jump pack and 2 plasma pistols.
Oh, that's funny. Beernid's a big fan of that model, actually. Like, unironically.
I mean, he did a lot of work in that game, but I just thought it was...
And you had the Eliminator and the Suppressor. There were so many models I had no idea where to turn. It was just like everywhere I went. It was a different threat.
It was the Grav guys that got you.
Oh, the Grav guys. Oh.
Yeah.
They're so good. Those company vets with Grav guns and chain swords, that's what pretty much carried Shane. I don't know. They were a big part of why Shane and I had the success that we did in the Bay Area tournament simulation.
So then, follow-up question: thinking about the future of Astartes, obviously some pretty big buffs coming potentially, and we don't know how the chips are going to fall with the other factions quite yet. But it seems like Space Marines are in a good spot. But they still don't have the bodies, and I know like you guys were talking in the Imperium meta video, not just a couple days ago. I think you really need the bodies, especially in the new like hold pattern. Do you think that Marines are going to get buffed enough to overcome that? Like, how do you see them being competitive in the future?
So it all depends on what tournament packet you're using, right? Because in Big 40K, like everybody in the United States, at least as far as I'm aware, it's kind of like the competitive format is all run by ITC. So they all use the same competitive packet. And then there's a few exceptions, like Nova uses its own packet, and I think Adepticon uses its own rules packet. But actually, that was how it was in the past. But now Games Workshop with 9th edition has come out, and they're like, this is how you play match play missions of 40K. With Kill Team, it's the Wild West. Every TO has their own packet or has put their own spin on a packet. And that has its good sides and its bad sides to it. There's not a lot of consistency, but hey, it keeps you on your toes and it forces you to adapt, which I think is cool. Mm-hmm. So Space Marines in like the WWO format, which is basically like the Nova packet,
right?
They're with all these buffs that they have now, I don't think they would be able to pull it off. I think that they're certainly not like a D tier faction on that packet anymore. They're at least a B,
Yeah.
just because of their resiliency that they have now with the heavy intercessors and the Blade Guard veterans. But now I think in a lot of other packets that have like a different sort of rule set where it's like not on like this open board where they can just get shot off easy, and where there's secondary objectives that like are really easy for you to stack by killing models, just like getting multiple points by killing models. Packets like that, or packets that are like hold one, hold more, kill one. Packets that reward the kill teams that are really lethal, Space Marines are going to be at the top.
I also think, I don't know if you saw Glass Half Dead did a video on the fact that like Space Marines are now going to be like the default for especially a lot of casual players who are trying to get into competitive, and the idea that they're kind of like the training wheels. So really no matter what you're up against, it's probably going to be pretty good. To your point, would probably make it pretty frustrating. I mean, for me, that's a little bit the Tau, honestly. I don't know. We have a guy in our local group who plays Tau, and I cannot fucking do anything about it.
Yeah.
Tell me how to beat the Tau, Ryan. How do I beat the Tau?
Ooh. Have you tried playing Tau? No, I'm kidding. Tau are tough to beat. Does he just kind of use like a drone spammy list with like a couple Pathfinders with rail rifles, or what does his list look like?
Yeah, it's primarily drone spam. I think a couple things which always get me, a couple rail rifles in the back with that fucking recon drone. That recon drone, I don't know how that is 7 points. That feels like a really good value.
Yes, it's an incredibly good value. There's no reason why the drones should be costed the way they are. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're tough, man. They're tough.
You could win a moral victory by knowing he's a douche.
That's basically what I do each time.
You just shame him for running Tau.
Oh, like mercilessly, like the entire time. Yeah, I basically, when he's not looking, I'll just go like rub parts of myself on his models and just try to distract him that way.
Just pick up his Tau drones after you like are done eating Cheetos or something. Oh god, that'd be so gross. How to beat Tau? It really all depends on like what kind of game you're playing and what mission you're playing on. Are you using like the core missions or? Yeah,
so we typically play open board. We'll typically play core missions. I will say that, so one of the things I've learned, and joking aside, joking's never aside, I'll still joke. I actually did pretty well. We had a game a couple days ago, and I was Thousand Suns, and what I found is if you can corral, like take very aggressive board control maneuvers. So I did like webway infiltration, got behind his back line, and then kind of forced his hand, and as a result of that, he got distraction Carnifexed, and I was able to charge him with a couple other models from cover. But it really relied on me distracting him and again, calling him a lot of names so that he was focused more on me as opposed to actually playing the game effectively.
That is one way. Sun Tzu has a lot to say about, it's not necessarily the strength of your army that's gonna win you battles, right? So
that's true.
That's fair. Now, I think that the thing with Tau is they do have some weaknesses. Specifically, their morale is very low across the faction. So if you are able, that's very important, to kill enough of their models to force a break test, you have a very high chance of getting a lot of his models to shake. So for that, you'll need like some hyper lethal weapons, basically. The other thing you can do is, depending on the faction you're playing, you can just try to bring as many bodies as you can, and with those bodies tie up the opponent's drones. Drakari have had some success in the tournaments that we've had against Tau. I was playing Drakari and I actually beat Biernid's Tau a couple tournaments ago and knocked him out of that tournament. Sorry, Biernid.
Did he go 8-0 in WWO?
Yeah, he did. And that's because that map is just so punishing. There's no like actual hard line of sight blocking terrain on that board. and it's just awful. So any team that, like a team like Tau, which is literally you can just set them up and just blow everything off the table, and there's nothing your opponent can do about it. It sucks. So yeah, play a balanced tournament packet that allows you to choose like the secondary objectives that you want to take as your faction. Make sure that you have good terrain, or play on arena. If you have arena, arena's great for competitive because it takes a lot of the terrain stuff, like issues on open board, and just tosses it out the window because it's ultra close confines. And then factions that have a good matchup against Tau, off the top of my head, are probably going to be... No.
But I mean, they know them because they're part of the Empire, so they should be pretty good.
Yeah, Crude Crude are so bad. It's like...
Star Striders.
Star Striders?
LSTs.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Nobody's ever played them, right?
Star Striders.
They could be amazing.
Gellerpox Infected on Arena are actually really good. They're so good. And then Imperial Guard is okay against Tau. Godfred is it's so good. If you take like Godfred in a Imperial Guard list, like you have a pretty good chance of winning, honestly. Just because that model is so broken. Or it was, and now with the new Space Marine rules coming out, I'm like, yeah, maybe Godfrey isn't as broken as I had thought. What's the Drakari is really good. They're really good against Tau.
Do you do Rax or Kabalites or Soup, or what's your mix?
I prefer Rax. Soup is interesting. I haven't really seen anyone try it, but it definitely has potential. And then Mandrake Spam is kind of interesting, but I think the Rax are the way to go, just because you can contest the Tau drones for board control with the amount of Rax that you can bring. They all have a 4-up invuln, whereas like the Mandrakes, they cost more. You're getting more damage output, even in close combat, but they're like a -1 to hit. But Tau gun drone specifically, they're always going to be hitting on 6s, firing 4 shots. So like that negative modifier doesn't really play much. So you might as well have the 4-up invuln, which is great against the rail rifles too. That's the other thing, right? Because that's where all their punch comes from. And then that's basically it. I think Austriani, I'm sure, are good too. It just, you can't be playing on like Worldwide Open Nova Packet Planet Bowling Ball and expect to beat Tau. Can't do it. That's just the reality.
I didn't know you've been to Planet Bowling Ball. I thought that was just a local thing for me.
Oh no, everyone's been on Planet Bowling Ball if you've been playing this game for long enough. It's a horrible, miserable rock where everyone just goes to die to shooting attacks.
So obviously, Ben is more the Math Hammer type player. I don't think I've played a game since at least September. More of a hobbyist. So what's the culture like as far as tournament play goes? Like, because I feel like it can either be like super competitive, or everyone's like, the animosity for everyone, or everyone's like super chill. It's one extreme or the other.
For Kill Team specifically, it's a lot more chill vibe from what I've been able to pick up. And then just for 40K overall, their tournaments, they've gotten a lot better, because I want to say like 5 years ago, the community overall started putting more of an emphasis on just like things like good sportsmanship.
Okay.
Excuse me 1 second. There's a sump pump going off in my basement.
Oh, that's okay. Good. I thought it was a Lehman Russ trundling by nearby. This is a good time to refer back to our sponsor of the show, Cheetos. Feel free to go fuck up your friend's Tau models. Just touch all those little translucent. Oh, nope. Sound's over. Okay, back to you.
The 40K community, or the competitive scene, I should say, has become a lot more. They've put a lot more emphasis on things like just like sportsmanship, And that's like a change that's happened over like the past 5 years. I don't even know if it was a change. It's just become a lot more talked about and expected of 40K tournament players, because nobody wants to play an asshole, right?
True.
It's like, yeah.
But on the flip side, I love playing poker. I played for numerous years.
Oh,
Ryan,
hell yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like? 5-card stud? You like Texas Hold'em? What do you like?
Texas No
Omaha?
Limit. Texas No Limit Hold'em, the Cadillac of poker, as Doyle Brunson calls it.
Here's the thing, though, man. I love playing with my friends when it's fun and we're drinking. I went to Vegas and I played one round of poker. Nobody was smiling. Nobody was having fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was afraid. And I did one tournament. Yeah, that's right, Tom. I was afraid. You know what? It takes a man to admit fear. But I went to a local. I didn't bring my sunglasses. There you go. And I also was very intoxicated, and I think I threw up one of the other guys, which might be why he was not smiling. And then I shit myself. But Ryan, that's not what this is about. The point of this is I went to a tournament at a local games workshop, and people that are fun to play normally, when it becomes the tournament, get so anal about everything. So I would love to know from you, what's the worst thing you've seen in a tournament? You can keep it anonymous, but I'd also like to know, because I believe in the good of humanity, what's the best thing? So what's the best and worst thing you've seen somebody do in a tournament?
Worst thing I've seen someone do at a tournament is I had someone play against me who, I'll keep their name anonymous because I don't want to embarrass them, who essentially forgot, in air quotes, to have one of their models take a break test. This model had very low morale. I'm talking less than 6. So it very much would have broken probably, and it wasn't until like the next round that I realized that I had flesh wounded that model and he had not taken a break test for it.
Motherfucker.
And so I pointed it out. I just hear Tom in the background, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And so I pointed it out to him, and I was like, hey, I think you should have taken a break test, or you should have made a morale test for this model last round. And then he started the way he was talking made it seem like it was almost it was my fault of not telling him to do that. But it's like, I don't know your army, so it's like, and it's like ultimately this model went on to score 2 points, which was the deciding factor, or which was the point differential in this game that he wound up winning. So I was pretty salty about that. Yeah. So yeah, that's the worst thing that I've experienced firsthand, is just you can't even tell for sure if this person cheated or not. But it's just dude, know your army. Right. Do everyone a favor and just know your army, and don't conveniently forget your rules. And then the best thing that I've seen in a tournament is just stuff that happens all the time, where it's just players allowing, I guess, I don't want to say take backsies, but just being flexible. It's if somebody is oh, I think I want to spend a CP to reroll to do attack reroll or something, and then they decide, I don't think I want to do that. Nobody wants to be playing a guy who's oh, you declared that you were going to spend the CP.
Fuck that. No, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, nobody. No, I haven't. No one. Everyone who I've played with has been very, I don't even know what, accommodating to their opponent.
That's good to know. I mean, we're I think if you heard our last episode, you probably got a sense that we have very demanding lives and jobs. Not that we're important or interesting people. We're just trying to get by like everyone else, right?
Yeah, it's your hobby. You're trying to have fun with it.
you're trying to escape. You're trying to relax. That's like, again, that game I was talking about, I was playing my brother, who's our resident orc player in our local, kill team community. And my favorite moment of that game is when his Gretchen ammo run killed one of my Necron specialists in close combat. And it's just, that is fucking hilarious. Like, that's so much better than winning. It's so much better than, like, tricking somebody into doing something wrong. So I'm glad to hear that people are like that in the tournament. Well, maybe not quite like that, but still are there to win, but also to have a good time and be good sports.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I was in a tournament and I was playing Necrons and one of my specialists died to a Gretchen leader like that, I'd probably be a little bit pissed. Gonna keep it 100 with you guys. But like that stuff is hilarious when it happens, and you just can't help but laugh.
Right.
So, all right, we're getting toward the end here. It's been a little while, but I want to ask about your projects, of course. And I know you and Shane are the pillars of Command Point. What's your meet cute? You and Shane, how'd you guys meet? What got you into this together?
Basically, the short of it is Shane and I have been friends since we were in middle school. And then when I started getting into like 40K and buying the models and stuff, Kill Team came out. And I was like, hey, there's this game, and it's like 40K, except it's a lot less expensive.
Cheaper.
You want to get into it? And he's like, oh, hell yeah. And so like we played our first game, and it was like space. Like I played Space Marines, and he played Heretic Astartes. And then if it's, of course, like none of our models had like any special weapons or anything, so it's just dudes in power armor with chain swords just like pool noodling each other to death, right? Nothing happens. I think we were playing with like the environmental effects table on this kill zone I had, and so like he lost 3 of his models to like exploding pipes or some BS, and then he was like, man. And then just like over time, like not even in that long of a time, he just started kicking my ass. And so I was like, hey, I want to do like a podcast and make like content about Kill Team, because I like this game. It's really cool. You're really good at it. Obviously, you're kicking my ass every time we play. You want to do this thing? And he's like, yeah, sure. And so now we're here.
That was a good impression of him too, from what I understand. That sounded just like him.
Identical, yeah.
That's really funny. Starting out, like everybody thought that like Shane and I have like the same voice basically, and I was getting paranoid because people couldn't tell the difference between myself and Shane's voice, like people that I knew. And I was like, the hell is going on?
Mom, that's not me. You guys actually, it's a similar like depth, but you guys talk differently. Like you have a different pattern of speech. Yeah.
It's just we've grown up in the same area, like less than like 5 miles from each other. So of course we're gonna like sound close.
Where do you hope Command Point goes next from here?
Next from here, I think what we're hoping to, like, our goal for the end of the year is to get to like 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's our big goal for this year. And then other than that, just kind of keep running tournaments over Tabletop Simulator. Hopefully if COVID, kind of chills out for a minute, be able to host a real life tournament, right, in Rochester for Kill Team. And then just keep having fun with the hobby and keep producing content that people enjoy.
Are we invited to the Rochester tournament?
Yeah, of course.
Because I only play Custodes.
Oh, you only play? Oh no, I don't know if a tournament is for you.
I don't like to win.
Rochester's only 5 hours from me. I can make that trip.
Yeah, true.
One of the things we love to feature is hilarious secrets or tips. So, for example, our orc player talked about hiding an ammo runt behind a knob and then using that to charge people from cover. With Thousand Suns, I love web way infiltration And I love when people think you're stupid for taking a Scarab Occult Terminator gunner and then are shocked when it gets like 20 shots on extra ammo. Any secrets, cheat codes, or tips you can give us for Astartes or any other faction?
For Astartes, you can basically fill out your command roster to have two very different kill teams that can, like, when combined, combat a myriad of threats. So what I'm talking about is you can set aside, like, say, a Blood Angels kill team, which is built specifically to counter Toughness 3 factions.
Yeah.
And then you can also have, say, a Black Templars kill team, which you're gonna have go up against Toughness 4 factions. So those guys will have things like Power Fist, your Relic Blade, not really Thunderhammers. I'm still more with the Power Fist right now, but actually after Pariah Nexus, Thunderhammers are gonna be better. But yeah, no. So those guys with your re-rolling charges, they can get stuck in with your against Toughness 4 and like up Toughness factions. So Blood Angels against Toughness 3, you take certain weapons on them. They can be wounding anything on 2s, which is fantastic efficiency in this game. And then Black Templars with their re-rolling charges, they're just great. So look at those two sub-factions when you're building kill teams for Astartes.
So that's good advice, but it does contradict the advice that we had a few episodes ago in a seminal episode called Always Be Smash Captain.
Always be Smash Captain.
Yeah.
What if you just... Yeah, what do you think?
I think that strategy is a lot more viable now, actually.
Really?
With the inclusion of Blade Guard. Because for their points cost, it's like, I think they're like 29 points for a Blade Guard, and it's a fantastic model, high durability. Def Deny is only 2 CP, so why wouldn't you break them, or why wouldn't you bring them? And then a Vanguard veteran now has 2 wounds, so yeah, put a jump pack on him, give him a Relic Blade and a Storm Shield, and just let him go to town. Like right now, or I guess going forward after Pariah Nexus is out, I really don't think you can go wrong with Space Marines, at least in like the melee.
Can I give you a challenge as a parting request? Can either you or Shane please play Elucidian Star Striders in the next tournament? And you have to have you have to have the dog, and the dog can't die Maximilian in any round.
In the next tournament? What about the tournament after?
I'll good compromise. I'll take it.
All right.
Just in general, at all.
I might do it for the meme. I think I'll do it for the meme.
Wouldn't it be pretty epic? Like people would pay attention to it.
It'd be so funny. Yeah, I'll do it for the meme in the next tournament. The upcoming tournament that we have is Zenith, and that's like the penultimate kill team tournament that we have on our TTS. So I'm not going to run it for that because I just qualified into it. I'm not going to risk it all now.
Oh, that's the one you're going to play Kroot in, right?
Yes. Tell all of my opponents that I'm going to be playing Kroot or Elucidian Star Striders in the next one. Yeah.
What's like the other worst faction? I feel like Grey Knights usually gets maligned, but I think we saw like WWO, they did okay. They got like 40% kill rate, right? Yeah,
no, Grey Knights are good.
Yeah.
Their ability to put out like 2 mortal wounds a turn is ridiculous. They're not bad. They're not a bad faction.
But what a feeling when one of your 5 models gets taken out in round 1 and you're just like, well, fuck, there goes my team.
More like that feeling when one of your models perils itself round 1, explodes, and then kills 3 other models from your kill team that are conveniently placed in a 3-inch diameter from it. That happened to Shane once. He was very upset about that.
In our local hobby shop, they call that tomming yourself.
Tomming yourself? Yeah, is that true, Tom?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Well, Ryan, thanks very much for the time. Other than the Zenith tournament and obviously your YouTube channel, is there anything else you want to plug?
In the description for all of our YouTube videos, you can find a link to the Command Point Discord, and over there we are constantly running Tabletop Simulator, kill team tournaments, talking competitive kill team, even if you're not a competitive player and you just like want to get better at understanding kill team overall. We've got channels for every single faction in the game to just go in and talk about. And it's a great community. I think we just reached 600 people on the Discord, all talking and playing games of kill team with each other. So it's a growing community. And we're very happy to have it for you guys.
Perfect. We'll be sure to link our 100 fans as well.
Hell yeah.
Get on that Discord, guys. And Tom, what do we always say?
Good fight, good night.
Mash that like and subscribe button. I think there's like 2 more.
Adios, bichachos.
Okay, there we go. All right. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, listener.
Listeners, plural.
Oh, and to the one guy in France who downloaded our entire catalog, merci.
You know, I think it was that one episode when I started in French.
Oh, probably.
Wow, that's funny. You guys aren't hearing a dog barking in the background, are you?
Oh, I always hear dog barking, but my therapist says that the pills will make it stop soon.
Okay. All right.
Hold on a second. Shut up!